Okay, I think I've got these down and dirty spatter shields about as easy as I can possibly make them. They work especially well on these dual ratio gearboxes. Now these are brass, but you can still get them in steel. And you can see my IBU is directly behind that gearbox. I really don't want grease shooting back at that thing. So all I did was get evergreen sheet styrene, 5/1000ths of an inch thick. That's 0.005 inches, which I believe is 0.15 millimeters. I cut this 37 millimeters wide and 140 millimeters long. And now this one isn't completely in place because I still have to grease these gears. But in order to make this completely in place, all I'll do is stick a little dab of goo down in there, and that'll hold it in place. So I'm going to pull this one out so you can see what's going on. And that's it. That's the 5 thou sheet styrene. And like I said, I'll get it down in there exactly the way I want it, and then I'll just go in there with a toothpick and put a dab of Zap goo in the bottom. And I'll use my little pick and get it all around. So anyway, I like these fancy toothpicks for this. I like these for a lot of stuff, but I only use them for certain things because they're kind of expensive. But they're flat on one end, and they've got these grooves in them. They're like cocktail toothpicks. So when I put Zap goo on there, it seems like the grooves kind of help a little bit, and it's easier to get a blob and have control than with the sharp pointy end. So let me show you how I did this. I took the sheet styrene, I cut it to 37 millimeters by 140 millimeters. I took this Zap goo. I just set it down on the table. Let me put this down so I can do my thing here. I take my little toothpick. Just get me a little blob on the end there. And I found that one really good way to control this Zap goo is to do a lot of spinning. Just like you were like blowing glass or something, I guess. And then I take my sheet styrene and I'm going to put it, for this one, I'm only going to use the outside part on the edge right here because the back of the gearbox is only about that wide. And that's all I got to do is get that little Zap on there. Now the really hard part is going to be showing you guys this. And I don't know how well this is going to work. Forgive the delay. Now you can see that silver part down there, that's the back of the bottom plate of the gearbox. And that's where I'm going to put the plastic. And this is a lot easier to do when you're not trying to make a video at the same time. Now I get it down in there, and then I take my pick and I just come along the edge here and just press it into place. The goo will stick to the metal and to the plastic. Like I said, it's much more difficult with this video camera. So I get that the way I want it. And then I'm just going to take my pick and set it across the tank like that to just kind of make it stand up on itself. Okay, and now I'm going to walk away for about 15 minutes, and when I come back I'll be able to bend it over, and then I'll take my toothpick. After I grease the gears, I'll take my toothpick and I'll get my little dab of Zap goo on it, and then I'll just stick it down in there and I'll spin it so I got a nice little dot on without my big hand in the way. This is more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I'll come right down into the center there and I'll spin the toothpick so I got a little goo on both sides, and then I'll just walk away from it, and that'll harden and it'll hold that thing in place until I want it to come out. And when I do want it to come out, I'll simply take a nice sharp X-Acto blade, a number 10, and I'll be able to slice right through that. The shield will pop out, and I'll also be able to scrape away any residual goo. It comes off pretty easy when you want it to, but it sticks in place until you don't want it to. So that's how I do the down and dirty spatter shields to keep all that grease off my electronics. Just 5 thou sheet styrene and Zap goo. I don't think it gets any easier or any quicker than that. You can get fancy if you want and custom form your shields to have little vacuum over the gears and all that stuff. But you know, this stuff works really good, and it's flexible enough that it's not gonna break anything. If something hits it, it'll just push it out of the way, and that's what I like. See you next time.